Hi, I'm Charles. I'm with Aquarium Maintenance Specialist here at Living Color Aquariums. Today we're going to be going down to our wholesaler, TFT, in Fort Lauderdale to pick out some fish for our quarantine facility here at the shop. We're here at TFT, our tropical fish wholesaler, to go pick out some fish. Let's go check it out. We really like to go down there to pick out fish individually just to ensure their well-being. We look for a couple different things when we select our fish. We really try to take this selection process very seriously. The animals just go through a lot of stress over the shipping process and just how they come in. So we try to get them back here eating, make sure they're doing well as far as their normal behaviors, and just make them feel at home as as much as possible before we introduce them into our tanks for our customers. We're looking today for some yellow-eyed coal tangs, maybe a couple clams, we'll see. We have a couple powder blue tangs and clownfish already picked out in the bag. Basically what we look for is to just kind of go over some generic fish health signs, good girth, are they behaving normally, are they coming up to you, being frightened, stuff like that. It's nice to try to feed them as well to see if they are in fact eating. That's even a better sign. But we're about to find out right now. Are there any physical signs of damage on the fish? A lot of times, sometimes when they come in, they can have injuries associated with the shipping processes. So you want to make sure they're looking good as far as their exterior is concerned. After that, I kind of look for the boniness in the face and kind of down the lateral line there to see how much weight the fish has, to make sure it has been eating and it's relatively healthy. Looks like we have a few good specimens right here, so I'm going to pick out a couple. After that, I'll get them in the bucket just so I can, get a visual over top of them, kind of inspect them from there. And once I get a good visual on him, and then he's off to get bagged and back to our quarantine facility.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Dan Basil. I'm with Living Color Aquariums. I'm the field advisor for the maintenance team. Today I kind of want to talk a little bit about how we select fish on the wholesale scale. As you can see, hundreds of aquariums around me. What you may not realize is that a large percentage of these fish are completely exotic. They're not from Florida, they're not aquacultured. They have literally traveled around the world, or close to that, to get to where they're at right now. Fish from Africa, Australia, Hawaii. We got fish from Fiji, the Caribbean. So just like other pets, fish are going through a lot of different stresses when they're being moved around. You gotta imagine that at one point these fish are just cruising on the reef, somewhere on the planet. A diver scoops them up, takes them on the boat, takes them from the boat to the shore, from the shore to another holding facility. They get bagged up and crated there, maybe on a train, maybe on a truck. Eventually they're gonna end up on a plane somewhere to the United States. They get moved again. They get moved again, they end up in a facility like this. We do everything we can to exercise the greatest amount of care, stress them out as little as possible. So when they're here, it's very critical that you identify a fish that looks more or less well rested. For me, a personal test, when I'm looking at the fish, if they're not demonstrating a normal behavior, if they're not demonstrating a normal coloration, they don't really seem like they have a lot of energy, that fish needs to relax, de-stress, restore its strength. Not gonna be a good candidate for me to take to someone's home and introduce as new fish in their aquarium.
I'm Alana with Aquarium Maintenance Specialist, and today we're at TFT getting some clownfish. Gonna look for some that are active, swimming around well, have good coloration. We're choosing captive bred clownfish because it's more sustainable for the environment, because they tend to do better in captivity. When you have an aquarium tank, you want to make sure that your fish stay healthy and that they're eating well. And so if they're bred in captivity, once they're in an aquarium tank, they're more likely to be healthy, since that's the lifestyle they're used to.
All right, we're gonna take a look at some clams. We're gonna check out, a couple things about what to look for when picking clams. We have some nice selection down here. They're aquacultured. Look at a couple of these guys down here. Basically, just want to keep an eye out, for the mantles. Make sure they're nice and open, no nips, no physical signs of damage. Again, like the fish, very similar. You also want to check out the sides, see if there's any potential snails that are considered a parasite that will in fact eat the clam. And once you get it to the aquarium, you want to go ahead and brush that off, just as a precautionary with a small toothbrush to make sure you get anything off of the side of the shell. Kind of flip it upside down and then give it a few knocks to make sure there's no air bubbles in there if it's possibly trapped in the air, during this shipping process. So.
After our fish come back to our facility, we do a couple things, as far as medication's concerned here at Aquarium Maintenance Specialist with Living Color. First, we'll bring them in and we'll do the standard drip acclimation to make sure, they get adjusted to our parameters very slowly. We like to keep our tanks at low salinity, hyposalinity, to pretty much just reduce the stress level in the fish. If there's lower salinity levels, that helps oxygen transport in the fish's blood a little bit faster, and it brings down their stress level a little bit. Other than that, as far as medications, we use medications pretty much as needed here. In the beginning, it's a lot of observation. Things like, ick and visible large parasites on the exterior of the fish. We use copper, as needed. We don't use copper too heavily here. For using copper, we like to be careful of that sometimes. We have different systems set up for different medications. As it's known out there in the fish community, husbandry community, that a lot of different types of fish do not tolerate the copper medication, such as puffers and lionfish, eels, things of that nature. So we do a bit of a different procedure with those types of fish. Like I said, we like to keep the salinity low, and we've had pretty good success with puffers and lions as far as not having to, medicate them as heavily or at all, such as other species and other fish. Razi, it's a bit more mild of a medication, and will flush out a lot of flukes and gill flukes in angelfish and butterflies and things of that nature. We also like to use Fritz Mardell Quick Cure in the bag from the wholesaler, so they get a little bath on their way over. Other things like bacterial infections, we kind of really try to have a long observation period, and as long as we can keep the parameters pristine enough in our quarantine facility, we really don't have issues with bacterial infections. And that kind of goes hand in hand with selecting healthy fish in the beginning, in the first place, to kind of avoid that whole scenario altogether. But if we do run into a situation where we have a bacterial infection in a fish, we will go ahead and use an antibacterial for that.